Hi everybody, I just wanted to talk about my pattern, the Tree of Life pattern, which I've been doing for a long time now. But because I live in the land of the trees, I really wanted to do something symbolic of the trees. So I started delving into the tree as symbolism, and I discovered a Zoroastrian myth all about the original Tree of Life, the mother of all trees. And it was this incredible tree that grew out of the ground from a seed, from a river actually, and it grew up and it divided and it kept dividing and reaching out, and so it was reaching out towards infinity, and the seed pods that came from the flowers dropped into the river and became the fish, and then the flowers themselves became the birds, and life was created. And it's like our families, it keeps growing and goes deeper and deeper into space and time. When I do the Tree of Life, I think often of this wonderful picture that my mum showed me of Samuel Palmer's wonderful flowering tree in the garden. But I think of this S-curve a lot, which really works well on pots. And I usually start with this kind of S-curve, and I usually put a broken branch in as well, which is like something that happens to all of us as we're growing, this pain that we heal and then we grow from. So if you think about infinity and it growing into space, it's all done freehand, and I just start. So here we go. You ready? I start with that S curve and I divide off in one way. I go parallel to that S curve. I do the broken branch, reach up, and I start dividing that into half. I go in one direction and then I split, and I go in the other direction, I split, and I keep reaching deeper and deeper into the space by dividing and growing. So this is all done freehand, and you're just thinking about reaching out into the space, and it's amazing how quick it can be to cover all that space. It's a lot of space. So I wanted to take you behind the scenes a little bit about what we go through, not in actually making the table, but in making the tiles and the Tree of Life. And we make the tiles totally freehand, we roll out clay, we turn them constantly, and then we give them a layer of slip. And slip is just clay, and we add 10% red iron oxide. And it actually looks like this when we are working with it. It looks like rust. When it's cheese hard, it's leather hard. It's like drawing through a hard cheese. I take a porcupine quill like this, and I just start drawing freehand the pattern. Now the pattern in my mind is a mathematical code. It's a dance. It's an actual dance that I do totally freehand. There is no erasing or anything. And I keep thinking about a tree and how it gives us shelter. Its roots are our ancestors, and as it's reaching off into space, it's taking on its life. It's all about growth. And I am not a minimalist. I believe in life is teeming around us in all ways. So I love to tell stories about things that are going on in the Tree of Life and things that are happening around the Tree of Life. So here I've got rabbits bouncing along. They're watching and looking at the birds up in the tree, or the flowers are reaching up into the tree. But there's a fox here, and this rabbit doesn't notice the fox because there's a little bird up there. This one's making some sort of sound of alarm, and here's a rabbit that hears the fox, and these mice, they definitely know there's a fox there, and this rabbit's running away. And then there are squirrels. This one has a nut, and perhaps this one's a bit jealous as he looks at this one and doesn't have a nut. And then there's a butterfly up here, and then there's the bird flying at the top up there. The thing that's most extraordinary about this particular tile panel is how beautifully it fired. The slip, where the slip was, it fires black in the celadon glaze, and where it's carved back, it is a sort of an olive green. But all these tiles were fired side by side, so you can feel the flame that's moving through the kiln as it's traveling over the tiles. And where the flame gets very hot, you get this thinning out of the glass, or in the glaze, the celadon glaze, and the iron starts coming, feeding it up from the bottom, and you get this edging of iron, which I call the bee's knees, because it's what we potters think is the most exciting thing. And you get this haloing of iron. And then as we move across, the flame must have really licked this one, because the glaze has thinned down. It must have gotten quite hot. And so the iron starts coming up to the surface of the glaze. And it's very much like a copper red. It's absolutely beautiful. Here the flowers really take hold. So you can imagine the flame just circulating and moving here. So it's sort of like the tree of life. It has the same energy, the same feeling, and it's probably one of the most exciting things to open a kiln and see results like this. And then to work with one of our masters to encase it in this beautiful walnut. And it just embodies everything that's symbolic about the tree of life. And I couldn't be more happy with it. I am so pleased.